What I wish I knew before WrestleMania 41, that it would be this epic. Let's dive into the predictions, my friends. Welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast, episode 74. It's less than 1 week until WrestleMania 41, and it's shaping up to be an absolute banger. First up, we've got the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes taking on the legend himself, John Cena, for the Undisputed Championship. Can Cena still see him? We'll find out. And hold on to your seats for the triple threat match, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth freaking Rollins. It's gonna be more chaotic than a cage match at a kindergarten. Don't forget the battle for the Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. Will Flair's legacy hold strong, or will Stratton steal the spotlight? So many matches, so many predictions. Stay tuned, wrestling fans, because this WrestleMania is gonna be one for the history books. Don't miss our full breakdown on Around the Ball.
Hello, everyone. Once again, just don't adjust your headsets. This is happening. We are live for the second time tonight. We were just live a few minutes ago with Noah Strang. We were talking about the Vancouver Canucks. We found out what a Canuck is. That was a great question in the chat. So I feel a little bit smarter than I did an hour ago. But that was a lot of fun talking NHL hockey. Unfortunately, the Canucks just missed the Stanley Cup playoffs. But we still had a great time getting to know Noah and Strang and
a wonderful guest. Wonderful guest.
There's actually a lot going on in Vancouver that we didn't know about. Not just hockey, but soccer and basketball and some other lacrosse and some other stuff as well. So that was a lot of fun, Darren. So thanks for jumping on again with me here. And we're going to talk all things. WrestleMania 41 is just less than a week away, actually 6 nights away from night number 1. So before we dive into WrestleMania 41, our sponsor of the show, Chris Bennett, was actually at UFC 314 yesterday, seeing the fight in Miami. I actually got to sit by some family of Rhea Ripley as well and got to meet Amanda Nunes. So that's super cool. So he was very excited about that. But Darren, if you wouldn't mind sharing with our listening audience a little bit about Nashville Tax Solutions.
Attention, Palm Bay and Fort Pierce. Are you struggling with tax issues? Whether you're behind on filings, you're dealing with the lien, or just need expert guidance, Nashville Tax Solutions is here to help. Their team knows the ins and outs of tax relief and is ready to fight for you. But don't just take Mike's word for it. Don't just take my word for it. Listen to what some of the clients have told us. Chris Bennett and his team have saved me from a financial nightmare. They're knowledgeable, clear, and compassionate. So don't let the tax troubles out there keep you up at night. Call 855-627-4829. Visit Nashville Tax Solutions or email info@nashvilletaxsolutions.com today. Nashville Tax Solutions, because tax problems deserve real solutions.
Thank you, Darren. And we are going to get right into it. We're not going to delay. Sometimes with WWE, the pomp and circumstance, it's like 15-minute intro before they even hit the ring, and they have an interview, and then they'll have their first match for like 45 minutes. So we're going to get right into it. So WrestleMania this year is going to be 2 nights once again, starting this coming Saturday night, April 19th, emanating out of Las Vegas, and this Sunday night as well, night 2. And so as always, they split the show up evenly. There's 13 announced matches with 1 match not announced yet for Sunday, but we believe that when we get into our predictions, we believe that another match will be added. So we'll get into that. Good friend of ours of the show should be joining us here in just a few moments. If he hops on, we'll add him. If not, Darren and I got you covered. We love talking wrestling on this podcast. Sometimes gets our best numbers when we talk WWE. And so we're going to do just that. So with WrestleMania just 6 days away, we still have Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. We still have Friday Night SmackDown this Friday, the final go-home show, they call it, right before the pay-per-view. And so But let's get into it. So night one is this Saturday, April 19th. 7 matches announced so far. So this is going to be your official predictions from my end, and Darren's going to jump in if he has any comments on that. So first and foremost, one of the things that happens every year is we have my favorite event, which is the Royal Rumble that takes place usually in January. This year it took place on February 1st. And the winner of the Royal Rumble, both men and women, get to main event WrestleMania, right? We always use that term, main event WrestleMania. And ironically, the winner of this year's Royal Rumble was main event Jey Uso. So Jey Uso will be challenging Gunther for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And this is really, really cool for so many reasons. Jey Uso has been a tag team guy for so long, his entire career. And he is the most, in my opinion, the most popular superstar on the WWE roster right now. The engagement with the crowd, with the yeet chants, and from start to finish. So he is at the top, in my opinion. And kind of similarities, and I know, Darren, you know a little bit about Bret the Hitman Hart, but kind of like that, where Bret Hart was a tag team guy with the Hart Foundation for so many years in the 80s and 90s, and then got that opportunity to be a main event player himself in the singles division. And then his career just, trajectory just skyrocketed after that. So Jey Uso will be challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. We knew that Gunther is 3-0 against Jey Uso already. So this match will be taking, this is part 4, I guess you'd say. But this match will not be main eventing night 1 of WrestleMania, which is very unusual for the winner of the Rumbles match to not be main eventing. So, prediction of the night. If you are here, if you on Facebook, Twitter, X, and YouTube, go ahead and throw in your comments if you agree, if you think I'm going crazy with my predictions or that sort of thing. So if you are here, let us know that you're here. Hit that like button, that subscribe button. So I'm going to jump to it. Gunther Jey Uso World Heavyweight Championship. So Gunther is money right now. He's only lost really 2 main roster matches in his entire almost 3-year run now at the company, and he is a believable champion. So all signs point to Gunther retaining here. I am going to say Jey Uso, he's already 0-3 against Gunther. They've built him up so much. I don't foresee Jey Uso having a long title reign, but I can't see any scenario with what we've seen, the build for Jey Uso. His popularity is skyrocketing. He was just on that big show, night out show with Pat McAfee just the other night. So I feel like they cannot miss this opportunity. Gunther is someone who can afford a loss here. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Jey Uso will become the new World Heavyweight Champion this Saturday night. I can't imagine them continuing to build with that. I think they got to strike while the iron's hot. And he is hot as it can come right now, but I can see if they don't strike here that things can go south. So, again, pick number 1, Jey Uso to defeat Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship this Saturday night. And what I probably will believe to be is the opening match. So Michael Clark has come in and says Gunther just signed an extension. He will win. Nobody likes the fact that Jey Uso is in this match. So that's a great point. So everybody on social media, fans were collaborating. They wanted Jey Uso to get his moment, right? And then he got his moment. And then all of a sudden, people were noticing some things like, oh, his moveset. He doesn't have quite the moveset as a champion should have. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like everyone kind of flipped. Like they got what they wanted, and then they weren't happy, and then they flipped the script. So I definitely can see where you're coming in, Michael. And I feel like that's a popular opinion here. I cannot see what the amount of time that they invested from January till mid-April here. This isn't a Cody Rhodes scenario where he was billed as much and he was able to retain that for an entire year. I don't think there's enough stock in Jey Uso to be able to prolong this anymore. He's already, like we said, 0-3. And he doesn't have to have a long run. He doesn't have to go to next year's Mania. Doesn't even have to go to SummerSlam. So I do feel, in my opinion, that Uso will get the win here. Maybe an unpopular opinion. That's why it's a prediction. It's not a guarantee. As Paul Heyman would say, it's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. Definitely not a spoiler. but I'm going to go with Jey Uso here, just because I believe one of the things that WWE does so well is tell stories, and they've been telling the Jey Uso story for so long. Where it goes after that, I'm not sure, but I feel like Gunther will go in a different direction right after this. So that's okay. We disagree on that first pick, but that's okay. Yes, and he did sign an extension, but I don't see that him losing the title in any way is going to deter that. And Darren, you think that Uso wins with some shenanigans?
Well, I think there'll be some shenanigans to make it entertaining, but you don't lose 4 in a row, because if you lose 4 in a row to one person, you're Coco beware. I mean, you're just there. I mean, you don't build a story. And so he's extended, he loses, and then there's the redemption story you can tell. I lost on some shenanigans. The foot was on the rope. I really had him. That kind of thing. And it builds a little bit of a rivalry. There's Uso.
And I think there's something to, because you got to think too, and Michael, this is another reason why I'm going that route, but this match is not closing the show, right? So this match is most likely going to open the show. I can't see them, with all this yeeting that's been going on, as popular as it's been, match number 1, Jey Uso loses, and the crowd goes dead for match number 2. I can't see that. I see them kicking this thing off with a bang, brand new champion, match number 1. And so, and you mentioned he's better off tagging with his brother again. They are a great team. The Usos are very great, and maybe you're correct. But I want to see this through as a fan, and because they're a storytelling company, I want to see this. I want to see this through. And who knows? He may not be a fan favorite for long. Maybe he's got that edge. Jey Uso, when he needs to, can be as good on the mic as anybody else. And the storytelling, I still feel, and you may disagree with me, but I still feel like he should have been one to eventually beat Roman Reigns and not Cody Rhodes. When he was on that killer streak, because the story was built around Jey Uso. Cody Rhodes had his story he was trying to finish, but so I think Jey Uso wins this match here is my first prediction. So if I start off 0-1, so be it, but that's what I'm going to go with there. So from here, we are going to move on to the United States Championship match. I want to talk about that. So this is where LA Knight, the United States champion, will be challenging Jacob Fatu for the United States title. And so one thing WWE does very well is they protect their champion. We don't see title changes just for the sake of title changes, unlike AEW. So in this spot here, I know this one's tricky because LA Knight just got the title back from Shinsuke Nakamura. So I don't quite know which direction they're going for LA Knight. But Jacob Fatu, to me at least, seems like a guy that they're ready to push to the moon. And they're protecting him now. He doesn't have a lot of matches. He's undefeated. He's only had really 3 matches, even though he seems like he's been around for a while now. They've been protecting him very well. I just foresee a guy like Jacob Fatu and Braun Breaker, who we'll talk about a little bit, who's the Intercontinental Champion. I can see this match main eventing Mania 42 or 43. I think the sky is the limit for both Fatu and Braun Breaker. So with that said, ideally, we don't have a ton of title changes because they protect their champions very well. But I'm going to go with Jacob Fatu winning the United States Championship here from LA Knight. And, I don't know what that means for LA Knight because he just got the title back. So I could see them maybe stretching it out a little bit longer and not giving Fatu the title here. Maybe some shenanigans in this one where Fatu wins by disqualification or whatever. But I think they need to have a big statement win from Fatu on the biggest stage of them all, which is WrestleMania. So I'm going with Jacob Fatu over LA Knight to win the title here. So both Darren and Michael agree that they believe that he is going to win the championship. I think it's best for business, as some other people would say. So I'm going with Fatu over LA Knight here. So again, unfortunately for LA Knight, I don't know what that means, but for him, but hopefully they can figure something out to keep his stock as high as it is. Maybe he dips his toe in the championship picture with Jey Uso. So we'll find out. So next we have the WWE Women's Championship, and this is your champion Tiffany Stratton and your challenger Charlotte Flair. Those that watched SmackDown 2 weeks ago, they went off the script, which means that they were given a script in bullet points to hit, and Flair said something that set off Tiffany. Tiffany said something that set off Flair, and the rails went off this segment. And unfortunately for Tiffany Stratton, she should have never had to be put in that position. Charlotte Flair is the professional. She's the veteran. She's the leader of the locker room, and she acted like a toddler in this situation. For whatever reason, she's been given so many opportunities, but this is Tiffany's time to shine. Flair is going to eventually win the record for most championships. We know that. She's going to even pass Cena in terms of total and her home dad in total championships before it's said and done. But I have to go with Tiffany Stratton retaining here. She has to have this win. I know it feels like they're going Charlotte Flair here because she just is given the title whenever she wants. But Tiffany Stratton, she does seem a little green here. She seems like she's a little bit not ready for this stage. But when she can go in the ring, she sold me from that match she had with Becky Lynch a while back. So I'm going to go with Tiffany Stratton retaining. Somebody's got to retain here. And so D Senior here as well, Devon, the Riot Flair kills the women's division. Again, that is so true, D, that I feel like that could happen with a Charlotte Flair win. And so Michael thinks that Charlotte is as unpopular as an Uso as a Rumble winner. Tiffany wins here. That's what the fans want. So I don't feel, though, that Uso was an unpopular Royal Rumble winner. I think it was a surprise, and I actually appreciated that because so often it's like, oh, it's going to be this guy or that guy. Uso kind of came out of left field. So kind of happy they went that route. But, yes, I think we're all in agreement here. Tiffany has to win here. They can still make Charlotte look great, but there's a difference between when you – and Darren, one thing with wrestling, they call it heat. When the fans don't like somebody, there's a difference between when the fans don't like someone for legit heat, meaning like we respect you, but we don't like you or booing you, versus we just want you out of the building. We don't even appreciate you. And I feel like someone like a Dominic Mysterio, they have the right kind of heat. Charlotte Flair has what's called the go away heat, where they're just straight up like over it with her right now. And I don't know what the answer is. I think maybe just being a tag team for a little while, just don't need to be in every single championship match that there always is. So again, going with Tiffany Stratton. And Darren, though, you think Charlotte Flair will win here. So you think they are going to give her the belt. Okay. So you see them continuing this storyline beyond.
Yeah, because again, I'm looking at I grew up loving wrestling, but you took it to the next level, loving wrestling. But I've been in marketing for 40 years, and attention and publicity is attention and publicity. Fans are tired, want someone to go away, but the fans rally around wanting that person to go away. So it actually gives them something to unify about. Keep around a little bit longer. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And we got the great Robinero. Rob Shoemaker is here with us. He's a little bit behind, so we're going to catch you up. We had a little bit of a and I'm
tapping out of predictions, and I'm just going to listen to what you guys say.
So, Rob, we have covered the first 3 matches for the Saturday show. So I want you to catch up real quick and give us your right off the cuff predictions for these 3 matches. The chat has been a little bit disagreeing with my predictions, and that's what we want. We don't just want everybody going, I agree, because what fun is that, right? So we talked about Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, Rob. So all across the board, we took, except for Darren, we all took Tiffany Stratton. I think it's a must-win for Stratton here. So your thoughts?
Yeah, I got Stratton as well. She has to win. I don't see any road or any kind of story or anything that they could do with Charlotte Flair down the road. If they do decide to do anything, I think they just kind of ran that dry.
Okay. We talked about like the heat on Flair right now is off the charts. It's throwaway heat at this point, and they need to just let her simmer in a U.S. title reign or just a tag team or something. But right now, more Charlotte Flair is not good.
No.
Then we also talked about the United States Championship. And I personally went with Jacob Fatu. I think he's been undefeated for a reason. They got to protect this guy. I know LA Knight just got the title back, but we took Fatu here. So what is your thoughts on that?
This is not biased, but I took Knight. We were talking a while back about how Knight needed a win, and if they were going to push him, it needed to be last year. I think in order to keep that push, to keep that momentum going, he needs a win here too. So I'm going with Knight.
Okay. Now, even though I went on the record, I'm picking Fatu. I think they need to protect him. I think he needs to be the main eventer next year for WrestleMania. I can see, because Solo Sikoa does not have a match, so I can see a scenario where we see Solo Sikoa trying to get involved, causing Fatu the match accidentally, setting up a program between Solo and Fatu. And so I think that's another option. That way you keep the title on Knight, who just got it back, but you also keep Fatu strong. But I was gonna
bring that up too. I was actually gonna make that point. That was a good statement. I can absolutely see that. Absolutely.
Okay. And then finally, just to catch you back up, this is one we were across the board different. Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. I went with Jey Uso. I feel like they have to finish that. He has been built up too much. Others disagreed and thought it has to be Gunther here, that the fans are not as behind Jey Uso as they once were. I feel like they'd missed the ball. So I went with Jey Uso. So your thoughts?
I went with Jey Uso as well. He's got the whole crowd, the entire WWE universe in the palm of his hands. Look at every time he comes out with the yeet thing. Now, I get it. The crowd will probably get tired of it at some point, and he'll have to change things up, and that will no longer sustain him. But I think that's the way to go if you're the producers and the matchmakers, for sure.
Okay, so we are caught up, everybody. So we're going to dive into match number 4 on night. And again, this is not the exact order. We know the main event is, but so match number 4. The greatest luchador you've never heard of, El Grande Americano, will be taking on Rey Mysterio. As you know, El Grande Americano is Chad Gable. Maybe not. I feel like they're going to do some kind of weird swerve. So Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. This is a very, very interesting match. And before I do that, I do see Mike's comment, Sikoa and Tonga could interfere. Tonga distracts the ref. Solo gives Knight the Samoan spike. Very well could happen. So we shall see. I don't disagree with that. So here, though, going back to this match, I feel like Rey Mysterio hasn't won a match in far, far too long. And I feel like there's absolutely nothing to be gained from an El Grande Americano win here. So I'm going to take Rey Mysterio. I feel like he deserves a win on the biggest stage of them all. I know that the El Grande thing is kind of fun and whatnot, but I don't know how it's going to what the outcome is going to be here, but you can't do Rey Mysterio wrong like that at WrestleMania. If that's the case, then he should just hang it up at this point. So I'm going to go officially with Rey Mysterio. So Rob, thoughts on that?
So I was teetering on this one. I'm going to have to disagree. I think El Grande. I think Rey's going to lose, and I look back now. Just this is the history. Now I know history can or can't repeat itself, but I mean, look at Kurt Angle. He got a lot of the boos and the comedy and everything, but he won some memorable matches even during his reign as the goofball or the clown of WWE. But I don't know. I'm gonna go with El Grande, honestly.
Okay, and again, I appreciate not all thinking the same thing, so that makes it more fun. So D thinks that Devon thinks Mysterio win and unmasks Americano, and Michael thinks that Mysterio wins and unmasks Gable. So seems like 3 out of 4. Darren, your official pick here. Are you a big El Grande Americano, or did you think that was a coffee, or did you know that it was a restaurant?
Well, okay, first of all, a couple things, all right? It's both. It's both. And I just love the name, so I'm going with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a whole thing now where he's pretending he went to Mexico to find out who the world's greatest luchador was, and every time that he every time he tries to perform, and so they did a whole background video about him and stuff, and even on the air the commentators were like, we've done research and we just can't find anything about this talent. I don't know what's going on. So they even made these.
But yet somehow he cashes the checks.
Right? Yeah. That's yeah.
You pay him in cash.
Yeah.
Hey, all I gotta say is obviously the WWE the fans love the comedy, so I
think
think comedy wins here.
That's why I love. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So before we move on to the next one, just a quick shout out to our man right there, El Grande.
El Grande, hey,
Yes,
the coffee man.
Lucha Libre, Café Americano.
So moving on, we have a tag team championship match between the War Raiders, Ivar and Eric, against the New Day, who feels like they've been around for just as long as any team at this point. So this one, to me, was the most difficult of all 7 matches to predict because, War Raider, there's not enough tag teams to really warrant having 2 sets of tag team.
There's nothing.
Let me just say that.
There's nothing.
But so I don't know the benefit of taking the titles off the War Raiders because then who do the New Day feud with? I feel like so I'm going to say that the War Raiders retain here. I'm not super confident with that pick, but I just don't see the benefit of taking the titles off them right now, giving them to the New Day. I would love to see some kind of shenanigans with Big E, getting them back on track and not because I loved the heel turn. That was unique. That was clever, but it's been a little stale. They haven't really capitalized it as much. So I'm going to take the War Raiders here. Hopefully it's an epic tag team title match, but I'm not quite confident with that either. I see WWE does like to flip-flop their tag champs a lot. So I'm going to go with War Raiders, but not confidently.
I took War Raiders too. There's no benefit to them losing the title. If they do, I think we talked about this and covered it enough, but they're going to have to mix something up here with the brands or just put them together because it's so stale with the tag teams. I mean, we used to have the Dudleys and the Hardys, and think about all of these great tag teams back in the day. You just don't see that stuff anymore. And it would be nice. It would be nice to have something there.
Yes.
I used to, if I can step in for a second.
Of course.
I used to love watching tag team because there was the we talked earlier about the comedic efforts, but there was also an artistic elegance almost to tag team. You'd see the flying drop kicks, you see the reaching out for the tag at the last minute. Just it was beautiful, like ballet. I mean, I go back to Tony Gurria and Larry Zbyszko, the Executioners, Chief Jay Strongbow and Billy White Wolf. I mean, you knew these tag teams and you had your favorites and even as late as the Bushwhackers, which is a long time ago. But now it's just stale.
And it really is. And you mentioned the artistic side of it. There is a selling point for the guy standing behind the ropes waiting to get the tag. I mean, his job is literally to hype up the crowd and, come on. And that is an art in itself. And if you do not do that right, and I watched the podcast, Undertaker's podcast. I love that podcast, but he mentioned it too, how he would sell and hype up the crowd for the tag. And I don't know. There's nothing there for us to cheer for. It's sad.
Right. And I guarantee you the match is going to be phenomenal, but there's no reason to care about the matches. That's my problem right now.
Yeah.
And I love that Devon mentioned here about the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express. Did you know that just as recently as, and I'm not making this up, kids, last weekend, and I use that because Darren and I talk so much, I use his lingo. But just as recently as last weekend, the Midnight Express took on the Rock and Roll Express in a independent promotion. They're both in their 70s, and they're still tag teaming to this day.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Incredible. It gives you hope. It gives you hope for when you get older,
Because 2 more matches to cover here. So a big feud match. I love what they're doing with Naomi. She's going to be battling Jade Cargill on night 1. This is a blood feud now that's turned very, very personal. I can't see any scenario here where Jade Cargill does not win. They can continue with what they're doing with Naomi. This doesn't have to be the end of it. But I can't see Jade Cargill losing in this spot. I think even though she's still a little green in the ring, I feel like they're pushing her. They got to continue to push with her to really make her feel special. And Naomi's good enough where she can bounce back. So I'm going with Jade Cargill here over Naomi, but Naomi is doing some of the best work of her career. Michael agrees with this one with me, which is great. And so Darren and Rob, your official pick here. So I'll start with you, Rob. We'll go with Jade Cargill or Naomi in this spot.
I agree with what you said, and I like that. Jade needs a push. She's got to go somewhere. She doesn't have enough yet. I went with Naomi only because I think they're trying to do a lot on the heel side right now on both on both the male roster and the female roster. So, when you think of heat as far as a heel goes, who do you have? Who do you have?
Right.
And so I think pushing heels right now is what they're trying to do, and I like that idea.
Yeah, I think, and Devon has an excellent point. Naomi needs to win more. Jade is almost like the Braun Strowman. I think I think Jade Cargill gets the win, but Naomi absolutely destroys her after the match. And even though she didn't win the battle, she won the war kind of situation. So Darren, your final thoughts before we move on to the main event?
Reed.
Oh, Reed. Okay. There we go. Okay. There we go. The official pick is the Jade Cardigan sweater loses to Naomi. Okay.
Yes.
That was
yes.
And Mike believes that Naomi will get the win.
There you go, Mike.
Mike is right.
So I would not hate that at all. So I'm definitely not putting Vegas odds on these picks this year. It's one thing I love about this, and we can definitely, just from our chat so far, is there's not a predictability factor this year at WrestleMania. Maybe not the WrestleMania card that I wanted it to be. It does still feel like a really good B-level pay-per-view. It doesn't quite feel WrestleMania-like, but it's
no.
I feel like there's some things that didn't happen that they wanted. Rock's not involved. Kevin Owens got injured. Things like that, but it's still going to be a fantastic show. The matches themselves will be great. It's just
that was devastating.
Yeah,
I thought that was a work. I was hoping it was a work. There was something going on behind the scene, and that just kind of devastated it for me. It was that was so devastating because I was really looking forward to Orton and Kevin Owens. That was going to be a class act match right there.
It was. And so closing out night one, perhaps the most interesting match of both nights, is your triple threat, not for any championship, but it doesn't have to be all the time. Roman Reigns, the OTC, the tribal chief, your tribal chief, my tribal chief, taking on CM Punk with Paul Heyman in his corner, taking on Seth freaking Rollins. So this one, you need a three-way coin to call this one. So really, when you think about this and you really break this down, I can't see any scenario here where it benefits WWE to have Reigns or Punk win this match. So this may seem crazy, especially in the main event spot, but I am going to take Seth Rollins in this spot.
Ooh, me too.
The interesting thing is usually when they end a show, you either want the crowd agitated or you leave them happy. I feel like they're going to leave pissed off. Something's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily have to be Paul Heyman joining with Seth Rollins. That's a very popular opinion that Heyman's going to go at Seth Rollins. It could be that a Paul Heyman favor now owed to Seth Rollins from the recent actions on Monday. I do see this as moving Roman Reigns to a singles feud with CM Punk. That's what's going to come out of this, in my opinion. And then we get a Seth Rollins, Jey Uso perhaps storyline if that's the route that they go. So I'm going to take Seth Rollins here, not aligning with Paul Heyman, but shenanigans are going to happen, leaving the fans very, very upset. But they're going to have the fans talking. So because when you make these predictions too, if you're in a main event spot, it just can't be something like, especially at WrestleMania, just Rollins with a pin and the show goes off the air. Now, who eats the pin? I don't know, but I'm going to go with Rollins here. Let's see, before we go to you guys, I don't get this feud. Nobody stands to gain anything from this. Paul Heyman helps CM Punk win. And Michael thinks Heyman will double cross Punk. As far as who will win, Reigns or Rollins, it's a toss up for me. I think it's just a way to, honestly, Devon, is they just wanted CM Punk and Seth Rollins to be able to, or CM Punk to check off the column of I finally was a main eventer. I think they overthought this a little bit too much, but I'm going to go with Seth Rollins here. So, Rob?
I did not like this match. It felt like it was just thrown together. It's like a last minute slop. And if you ask me, this is a tough one to call. I don't like the idea of any of them being in a match right now as it is. It would have been better as just a singles match. But anyway, I went with CM Punk. I went with CM Punk. I think a lot can happen. I see the road where it could turn into CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I think that there's no path where Roman wins. I just don't see that at all. I think it's going to be a CM Punk, and I don't know. I feel like Paul Heyman interferes and completely turns against Roman Reigns, and somehow screws over Seth, and then that starts their feud. I don't know, but that's what I went with.
Okay, because someone has to turn heel here. They can't all be good guys forever. So, Darren, your final pick.
I think whenever you have the special guest in the corner, the shenanigans will ensue, and I think that takes CM Punk out of the whole equation. Something happens there, and I think that Seth Rollins benefits from it. He's the winner.
So, okay, and Devon says CM Punk as build to a story complete like Cody. Punk pins Roman. And Kim Curie says, I'm about to drive home, so just wanted to pop by and say hi. That's all we ask. As long as you hit that like button, that's good enough for me. So before you get back on the road, just hit that like button, if you wouldn't mind. So we've covered night one, WrestleMania, so we're going to try to get through. I want to honor everybody's time and stuff, so we're going to go through night number 2 now. So it seems like we've been a little bit different on the board in this. So night number 2 seems to be the more predictable of the 2 nights, but we'll get there. So match number 1, we have the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez challenging Bayley and Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Tag Team titles. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria were just thrown together as a team this past week, and they wound up winning the match here. There's nothing to be gained from a Bayley and Lyra Valkyria Tag Team Championship win here. I think they should continue. That was an excellent match. I think they should continue them in the singles route. They could put up a valiant effort, but you got to let Liv Morgan is doing some of the best work of his career. You got to let that simmer a little bit longer with her and Raquel Rodriguez. And at some point, I think Raquel turning on Liv's going to happen. I think we all see that coming, but I think it's too soon to just throw Bayley and Lyra, give them the tag team title. She's already got the Intercontinental title, which she's not defending enough as it is. So I'm going to go with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to retain here. So I will go to you, Darren, first on this one.
I agree. I mean, there's not much to think about. I mean, the wrestling people are thrown together in the same week. I mean, and you are going to build the story up, and in my opinion, that those two will eventually fight each other. They win.
Yeah, I think you can't just I think they just wanted as much star power on the show as possible. So they're like, let's throw these 2 people in there. So, and Rob, your thoughts on that?
Oh boy, you may not like it, but I picked Bayley and Lyra to win this one because I feel that Raquel will turn on Liv and cost them the match, and that'll start a feud on its own. Do I think that Bayley and Lyra would be if there was any benefit for them to hold the title? No. I think something will happen so that they lose the title soon, or there'll be another rematch the next night or something along the lines of that. But anyway, I picked Bayley and Lyra for the fact that Raquel is going to turn on Liv. I think it will happen. I've seen crazier things.
Okay. So you think she'll be a two belt champion for Lyra Valkyria? I like what Devon says here. It's a shame they don't do anything meaningful with the women outside of the main titles. I think you can make an argument that the best match on this WrestleMania is the non-title match with Naomi and Cargill. At least they've really invested some time and they changed her character. So you can make a case that's an exception because usually, outside of the main titles, there's not there. And Darren mentions totally agree. It's like they're stuck in the 50s with that. So
Yeah.
moving on. We're going to stick with the women here. So another huge match is the WWE Women's World Championship. Again, I feel like they could, with the Intercontinental and the U.S. Championship now for the women, I feel like we should still have one women's champion. Having two, there's not enough women on both rosters, and if there is, there's not enough that they invest in great stories for. But we've got a triple threat match here: Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky for the women's championship. This one's tough, and I feel like it really can go either way. I don't see Io Sky retaining, as popular as she is right now. I do feel like they're going to go a different direction here. I'm going to go and say that I'm going to take Bianca Belair to win the women's title, but I feel like, and I'm not saying it's going to happen on Sunday, but I feel like, again, someone has to turn heel, and I think we've gotten as much we can get out of the Bianca Belair as a good guy. So I think Bianca Belair wins here, and if she doesn't, she's turning heel. If Rio does win or Io wins, I could see Bianca snapping after the match. But I'm going to take Bianca Belair to win the women's championship here. So, Rob, your thoughts?
Bianca, I agree fully, and the same reason as you stated, for the same reasons.
And Darren, do you take Miss Elizabeth, or do you go with one of these three women?
Come on. I mean, stop. Fabulous Moolah. Enough. No.
I saw you shaking your head that you're thinking.
I agree with you both. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with you both.
Cool. Devon, we've got Bianca is the John Cena of the women's division, and Mike thinks that Io retains with the help from Asuka. That very well could happen. Definitely missing Asuka on the main roster. So seems like we're pretty much in agreement there. A few think there. So surprisingly, I didn't see any Rhea Ripley choices there. She was as popular as there was, and so no one thinking she's going to retain it. Or she's going to win it here. Let's move on to the Intercontinental Championship. Seems like there's so many championships, but Intercontinental Championship. This is a fatal four-way, in my opinion. Of all the matches, this is the most predictable. Doesn't mean it's not going to be a banger, though. We've got Braun Breaker, which is the son of Rick Steiner. Those that might not know, taking on Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. I think that Finn Balor will eventually turn babyface at some point. Penta's in this match, so he has his Mania moment. But Dominic Mysterio will be taking the pin here. Braun Breaker is untouchable right now. He should not be anywhere near losing a title anytime soon. We know that, in my opinion, he'll be challenging for the world title next year's WrestleMania. But you got to keep Braun Breaker strong at least through SummerSlam, in my opinion. So I'm taking Braun Breaker to win and retain, I should say, the Intercontinental Championship. So, Darren, I'll start with you on this one. Do you agree there, or do you see Penta, Finn Balor, or Dominic perhaps winning the championship?
Dominic Mysterio will win the championship.
Dominic Mysterio has been picked to win the championship by at Redmond's Room. Darren?
For merch reasons, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. I could, Dominic, man, he's eaten a lot of pins, but he's still so popular. When I say popular, he's booed and stuff, but it's not in a way where it's like, get off my TV. I think he's doing some of the best work of his career. Michael says Breaker wins, so Penta can team with Rey Fenix. I think Penta will team with Rey Fenix, but I think they have to keep those two as far away from each other as possible for right now and get to build to that. I don't think we need, because Penta's doing some awesome work. And I'd like to see a Penta Breaker storyline go on beyond WrestleMania in the singles program. But Rob, your thoughts on this?
Oh boy, I was teetering between Penta and Dominic, but I want to go Dominic. I like what Darren said. Dominic for the win because and it's the heat, right? It's not bad heat. It's good heat. And it's not like get off of my TV, but he really needs this. I think he's probably the popular pick here.
Okay. So that, and then Devon thinks that Finn Balor. I mean, Finn Balor needs a win worse than anybody right now, for sure. So we will keep this thing rolling here for the interest of time. This match I had absolutely no interest in a month ago, and now it's turning out to be one of the best storylines that they're doing. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre in a Sin City street fight. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, whatever they're given, they hit the ball out of the park each and every time. They make this match feel, and they're able to make this match feel more important than some of the other championship matches on the card. But with that said, Drew McIntyre has to have this win here at WrestleMania. He's got to continue his hot streak and really get things back on track. So I'm taking Drew McIntyre. Rob, I'll start with you. Rob is speechless, so we'll go to Darren.
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm here. Sorry. Okay. I took Drew. Okay. Yeah, I think Drew's going to win this for sure. He's had enough heartbreak losses and throwing chairs and tantrums.
I would agree. There's something kind of tchotchke, kind of cheeky about Priest winning in Sin City. But he doesn't win.
He doesn't win. Okay. And Mike thinks that he doesn't know who will win, but someone will bleed. I think so. And see, WWE does. They do the bleeding when they do have to. People have to bleed. They do it on rare occasion and makes it feel more important. AEW. They just had one of the guys get this bloodbath on Collision. Nobody watches Collision on Saturday night, and he was a bloodbath. So. And then Devon thinks that Drew wins and finds his way back to the championship scene. Okay, so moving along, just a couple matches left. We have Randy Orton. Now, this is not an official match, but Randy Orton versus question mark. So he made it very clear that he wants a match. This is his 20th WrestleMania. So he's going to get a match one way or another. So this is a two-part question, guys, and I'll go last on this one. Is number one, does Randy Orton win or does question mark win? And number two, who is question mark? So I'll start with you, Rob.
Oh boy, who's question mark for Randy Orton? I really don't even have any guesses right now. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. That is so tough. It could be anything, anybody.
Yeah. Darren, any insights on who question mark could be, or no clue either? Because I think a lot of us don't know which route I don't even know if they know which route they're going, to be honest.
The Rock.
The Rock. Okay. Well,
it's WrestleMania.
I mean, The Rock's got to make it on the show somehow.
That's what I'm saying. He comes out, and it's a match. Randy Orton wins, quote unquote, or whatever. Kind of one of those things where there's no real fighting going on, but it's more of an appearance by The Rock.
What I love about that, Darren, is Rob hasn't moved ever since he said
his mouth's ajar.
yes.
He's like, he's crazy.
I'm gonna go with.
Well, he's ready. He's moving. He's ready.
I'm sorry. My son texted me good night, and I rarely get texts from him when he's over at his mom. So it's a gem for me.
Don't ever apologize for saying
big win.
Your son saying good night.
As soon as Darren said The Rock, though, that's when it froze with your mouth like a little bit open. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's perfect.
That's interesting. They said The Rock's not. He's officially out of WrestleMania. But what struck me about The Rock coming in and doing all of this stuff like he did last time, maybe he really isn't coming back to WrestleMania, right? Because of how much the universe hated it and couldn't stand the fact that he tried to push himself in a match. And then the fact that Triple H allowed it and all this other stuff. But anyway, it could be. Or it could have just been a ruse, and we might see him step in somewhere, and it could be with Randy Orton for some reason, but I don't see why.
Okay, so I'm going to say that it is going to be Trick Williams from NXT. Now, The reason I say Trick Williams for NXT, I would like to say Aleister Black, right? Because we know that Aleister Black is re-signed with WWE, but you can't have Aleister Black lose his first match, and Randy Orton's not losing at WrestleMania.
Nope.
With Trick Williams, he is the hottest star in NXT, but there's really nothing left for him to do in NXT right now, so he's going to get the call up. So I think he can afford his first match to be a loss because he's going to make a good showing and just fall just short. It could very well be Nick Aldis, the general manager of SmackDown, but I feel like the crowd would boo if someone like that comes out. So unless they announce it ahead of time, it's got to be someone. Now, I do see Nick Aldis eventually getting into the ring. I think he's a great general manager, but he's better served in the ring. But I think to make the crowd happy, you call up the guy from the minor league system there at NXT. You give Trick Williams his opportunity at WrestleMania and let it go.
I like that storyboarding. That's good storyboarding. Good job.
Yeah, that hopefully. So they might go that route. They may not. There's other names. Penta could be Sheamus. He loves to fight. There's other names out there. Darren mentioned The Rock. But at the end of the day, I'll go with Trick Williams just because I'm allowed to, because this is a podcast that we do. So two more matches, folks. We have YouTube sensation, not as big as the two of us here on the Around the Ballpark podcast, but Logan
Darn
Paul,
right.
challenging AJ Styles here. So I am going to go third on this one. I'm going to let the great Robinero go first. Your official pick, Logan Paul and AJ Styles.
AJ Styles, easy.
Easy.
That's an easy one for me. AJ Styles. I don't know if you guys heard anything about what Triple H said to Logan Paul, whether it was joking around, backstage humor, or whatever the case, but I thought it was pretty funny. He said something about, he should be on the poster, like towards the center and all this. And he said, well, we didn't even want you in it at all, but Netflix was kind of pushing and advocating that you would be on there. So we just kind of threw you in the corner. And that to me indicated that there's no value for him to win. There's nothing going forward. It's just he's a gimmick.
Okay. Darren, thoughts?
I think that is a shenanigans-filled match, but I think he's right. I think Logan Paul does not. Paul Logan does not win. That's for sure. It's a gimmick. It's a goof.
Styles wins and moves to the IC title scene, says Michael. And Devon thinks Logan Paul is going to win. So I'm going to say, without a doubt, 100%, I'm giving this match to Logan Paul. Not the popular opinion, but here is why. I think Logan Paul has proven. Now, I've got opportunity to see some of his podcasts and stuff, but I think there's more value in the name of Logan Paul long-term in some of these bigger shows that are coming up. And I think he's proven in his match with Roman Reigns. He's proven in some of these big matches that he can go, right? He's not going to come unprepared. Yes, he's a celebrity, B-list celebrity, D-list celebrity, but he's so talented in the ring. And I think they're going to go the route of Logan Paul versus Jey Uso as the next big money match. Now, he has no chance to win that match. In my opinion, Jey Uso would retain there. But I think that AJ Styles can afford a loss here and continue on. I just see them milking this Logan Paul deal as much as they can go. And as long as he continues to perform in the ring the way he does, I won't hate it. Yes, I will boo myself if I want AJ to win the match. He deserves the win. He's been there so long and feels like he needs that big moment. But I feel like those of you that know, remember when Baron Corbin defeated Kurt Angle in his retirement match, which was ridiculous. I feel like that's going to be repeated here. So I'm going to say Logan Paul. So I see a lot of dislikes in the chat. No, just kidding. But that one. So with that said, guys, we've made it to the main event of the evening. Goldust versus Coco Beware. So we've got special delivery. Special Delivery Jones and Hillbilly Jim. No. So our main event is for the Undisputed Championship. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I will go first on this one. So John Cena is going to win at some point his final championship, but it will not be at WrestleMania. You cannot, if I'm true with my word, you can't send the crowd home miserable 2 nights in a row. Cody Rhodes, there's still value there. I know people kind of want to see him lose, and there's more money in the chasing. But I don't think John Cena winning it here is the route that's going to happen. I feel like Cody will retain, but where they go from there, I'm not quite sure. But I feel like John Cena will. I think that John Cena will defeat Cody Rhodes at a later date. I could see them getting another match out of this, and that's when Cena wins and holds it till SummerSlam, and then sees the light side again. So I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, and potentially John Cena in a gimmick match at Backlash, winning the title there, but not at WrestleMania. So, Darren, you're up next.
I thought you were going to go full heel on us there for a minute and picking John Cena too. Like two different picks. You went with Logan Paul and now John Cena.
John Cena loses.
Well, John Cena loses.
I think he's going to lose and lose big for the reason that you said, for no other reason other than so the audience goes home happy, and then he does the whole "I'll get you back, I'll be back," and to build up a story towards SummerSlam, and then at SummerSlam he sees the light and becomes good again. I think that's what happens.
Yeah. Okay. And Rob?
I honestly think, okay, so Cody's going to win. I think Cody needs a heel turn at some point. I think heel Cody would be awesome if he does it right. But I could see Cody losing or winning and then later date lose again because John Cena comes back to his senses for some reason. Cody goes heel because now he's still got this hatred towards John Cena for what he did and how he went about, disrespecting all the fans with the hustle, loyalty, respect, and so on and so forth. And I think that's how it happens.
Yes, and no, great call. Devon thinks that John wins with The Rock's help, and Michael says, personally hopes Cena never passes Flair, maybe, but won't until the end of the tour, maybe Survivor Series. So very well. So I think Rock could very well come out. It's been too eerily quiet that The Rock went away since Elimination Chamber and not has been seen from again. So I really feel like he'll show up there. What I don't want to see, my only care is I don't want to see. They did this with Triple H versus Sting, and then they did it last year with The Rock and Roman. We don't need 16 different people coming in the main event match having their moment of fame. Like they already had their moment of fame. Let this main event speak for itself. So I may be 0-14 in my picks. I don't know, but
hold on.
Pretty good at these things. So
yes. I should have mentioned this. It is so Stone Cold said that it's possible that given the right circumstances, he might pop up. So what if we do see something like that happen again this year? It might not go over with the fans, but I think Stone Cold showing up in the spot that he should have showed up in last year, I think that would be a fan favorite. I think the crowd would be really happy with that. If it were to happen again, that's the way they should go.
So that was a brilliant point. I'm glad.
I like that.
Because, but I'm gonna throw you one better on that one. Not only do I like that idea, I think there's more money to be invested instead of him showing up in that capacity. Randy Orton has never had a one-on-one match with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, you're right.
What if that's the person? This is his 20th Mania. What if? Now I don't know if Austin's got another match left in him, but that could be. So I think you brought up a good point. Stone Cold, this has to be the year. He's already inducting a match into the Hall of Fame the night before, so we know he's going to be there. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a longer night with the two podcasts, but it's been so much fun. The time has flown by. I'm going to go have a very late dinner and enjoy it. But thank you guys so much for jumping on with us, Michael and Devon and some others on NX that are on there. Thank you so much for being part of this, and I may go 0-14, but that's okay. Thank you, Darren and Rob, for your time and giving your picks. And we'll have to see how we each do. I've jotted down our picks here, so we'll make sure we touch base after WrestleMania to see how we did and see who is there. And yes, Jesse the Body will be back. He will be back at the next Saturday Night Main Event. I love that they bring him back for that show. It's awesome. So thank you guys so much. And until next time, until we see you live, the next time I'll be live is this Thursday. I'll be live coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Hopefully,
Skyline
chili in my hand. Hopefully, but I'll be back in time for WrestleMania. So I'll see a few of you guys hopefully by my place on Saturday night for WrestleMania. But until next time, we'll see you around the ballpark. Bye, guys.